Tom Fondle.
Welcome to Black Guy White Movie with your host, Maxwell Michael Towson.
Thank you for joining us on another week of the Black Guy White Movie podcast. I'm your host, Maxwell Michael Towson, and wherever you're joining us from, thanks for coming back for week 22 of The Nonsense. This week, we're going to have director, writer, and producer Lauren Lilly on for an interview a little later, and then we're also going to review the movie The Foreigner, starring Jackie Chan and James Bond number 4, I think? He's Bond 4, right? Hold on, 1, 2. Yeah, I think he's Bond 4. So Bond 4 and Jackie Chan. But first, let's get into this craziness with this Harvey Weinstein scandal and situation. For you guys that don't know who Harvey Weinstein is, he's an storied producer in Hollywood. He's been doing this shit for decades and decades. His films include like the Lord of the Ring franchise, the Scary Movie franchises. One of my favorite films, actually, Zack and Miri Make a Porno, is one of his films. The Fighter, Silver Linings Playbook, The Butler, Ryan Coogler's first film, Fruitvale Station. Shout out to Ryan Coogler. Also, I just went to see the movie Wind River, which he's a producer on as well. It's a great movie with, who the fuck is that? Jeremy Renner and Elizabeth Olsen. So that's a great film as well. But Harvey Weinstein is one of the titans of the Hollywood industry. And I want to say about 2 weeks ago, the New York Times dropped an article about all the sexual assault allegations and just bullshit he's been doing to women for the last 2 decades or 3 decades since he's been in the industry. And it pretty much made Hollywood look like the piece of shit that it is. It made the culture in Hollywood look crazy. It made it seem that, well, not even made it seem, but it's put a spotlight on that this male culture in Hollywood has been protecting Harvey Weinstein. They've been cultivating these, just this craziness has just been accepted. It's been an open secret. It's rumored that even in his contract with the Weinstein Company, that as long as he takes care of his own lawsuits and anything that comes his way about extramarital affairs or whatever it is, as long as he takes care of it on his own dime, or if the company does pay for it, he pays them back, everything is fine. And with these plethora of people coming out now, and famous actors and actresses all saying how they knew about stuff and saying they're like telling their own stories about Harvey Weinstein, it just really is crazy to think that this has been allowed for all this time. And it's obvious that he's not the only one. This is a culture problem, it's a male problem in the Hollywood industry, that they just think it's fine that, hey, you're new to the business and the only way you're going to get this role is if you have sex with me, or the only way your career is going to flourish is if you do this with me or do that with me. And it's not only Hollywood. It's many businesses, many industries that this is a fucking problem in. And it's really troublesome right now as you watch the media kind of push this narrative like it's only Harvey Weinstein, or that it's only Hollywood, or that this is so shocking and we can't believe this is going on. You motherfuckers are also part of the problem. You motherfuckers know this is going on. You guys are in these same media circles, the same industry circle. Hollywood isn't its own little stepchild that only people in Hollywood know one another. Like, no. Far reaches of the media all know Harvey Weinstein. They all dealt with him. They've all had business dealings with him. And you've never heard of these stories? You're suddenly so appalled and shocked about what's going on? No. You guys have known this shit. All these people that are coming out now that were afraid that something would happen to their careers, like, what the fuck? Why is it cool now for you to come out when, like, that's not courage to come out with a story about like what Harvey Weinstein did to you, or how like some of these male actors are saying how terrified they were of coming out because they did hear this story. They didn't want their careers to end. Like, fuck you guys. Like, either step to him and say like, what the fuck is going on? Come out with the story. Like, why suddenly can you say all this shit now when you know this was a culture thing? You know he's been doing this. Like, it's great that all these stories are coming out so we get a bigger picture of what's going on. But just think about these young women that don't have the same platform as the celebrities that are coming out. Think about what happened to them. Or like, no one gives a fuck about their stories. And you guys have had this platform for years where you could have said something and stopped the next person from this happening, from this being a thing for them. And just nothing. It's just a crazy thing. And I just can't believe that we're still in a space where, I get it, the media wants to do whatever they can to not sell tickets, but make sure they get clicks, make sure that they stay relevant. But this shit is craziness. Like, literally looking for other news on film this week. It's maybe an announcement here and there about a new person doing something in a film or someone joining something. A director might be getting an opportunity for something else. But mostly it's hundreds of thousands. I won't say hundreds, but tens of thousands. Everywhere I look, it's a story about Harvey Weinstein. Oh, I like one of his movies. What should I do now? This person has a Harvey Weinstein story. This person reacts to this person's Harvey Weinstein story. Like, you guys are pieces of shit in the media. You don't give a fuck about this. You'll be on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, which is shown by this hurricane shit where celebrities did the same thing for that. They had to outspend each other with the hurricane, or they had to mention like, oh, just to let you guys know, I also donated $1 million. Who gives a fuck? Give them $1 million. Let the IRS know. You don't have to tell everybody to remain relevant that you're trying to help somebody else. It's craziness. Either way, we're all at a consensus. Well, not us all, because some people are actually friends with Harvey Weinstein, and I'm sure they don't think he's a piece of shit. But for the most part, I think we have a consensus that he's a piece of shit. And I'm still kind of the mindset that we'll, as a Hollywood industry, I think they'll give him a second chance no matter what comes out about this. I hope I'm wrong. But it just, to me, a culture like that can't necessarily, how can I put it? Not to say they can't kick out one of their own, because the Producers Guild, not the Producers Guild, but the Movie Academy has already been like, fuck this, he's out. And I'm sure the TV Academy will as well, and the Producers Guild. I'm sure they'll make their rounds of how crazy everything is currently. But I just don't think, I can't see them not giving him a second chance, or him having a movie come out within the next 3 to 5 years where he's a producer and somehow it's again an Oscar-nominated film. I just can't see that not happening. Like, this is one of the Hollywood, maybe if it's 10 Hollywood titans, he's one of them. And I just can't, even with these terrible, terrible allegations that are coming out, I just have a bad feeling that he'll be right back. It'll be business as usual within the next 5 years or so. He's already going to rehab, which I didn't know you could do rehab for being a piece of shit. It's a weird time. So, yeah, I think I'm just spent talking about this. I just think we really just have to ask ourselves, like, we gotta ask ourselves a lot of things, but pretty much we just have to get more females behind the scenes and leadership positions. We just have to get way more diversity in Hollywood to make sure that things like this aren't the norm. Because no one has yet said that, oh, this is just what happens. Because sadly, it might just be like they tried to call him an old dinosaur and maybe he doesn't understand the new way, but this has been his way. So what the fuck does that say about the industry as a whole? Like the culture in the industry as a whole, what does that say about them?
Tom Fondle.
Let's see here. All right, and now we're back. So this week we have guests. So how do you want to do this? You want to be director, writer, producer? Like how many things do you want to?
I'm all those things.
Oh,
I would say I'm mainly a director, but
okay.
I also write and produce.
Okay, so mainly director, writer, and producer Lauren Lilly, who I call Ponytail Lily. So how are you doing today, Lauren?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I guess I'm good. I'm missing football right now, even though my Cowboys suck, so it doesn't matter. But who cares, really? I guess I'm supposed to be standing with Kaepernick, technically, so I'm not even supposed to be watching.
Or kneeling with Kaepernick.
You can kneel all day. I don't know how that would work. But what are you up to?
I'm having a chill Sunday. I'm going to go to the Dodger game later, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Oh, you got playoff tickets. Where are you going to be sitting?
Yeah. Uh, our next door neighbor works for the Dodgers, so I don't know where exactly we're sitting, but we're going with my neighbor, which is pretty dope.
What kind of charmed life do you live that you're just like, my next door neighbor just works for them. We're just going to have playoff tickets. No big deal. Biggest game probably the Dodgers will have this season. No big deal.
We have the best new neighbors. They just moved in a few months ago, and it's a husband and wife, and the wife also really loves my cat. So when I go out of town, she said that she's happy to come by and feed my cat and hang out with him. So it's just the best combo. Dodger game, feed my cat.
I thought your cat was a terror. Like, I thought your cat only liked you.
He likes people who feed him.
Oh, got you. Okay.
Yeah.
So has he warmed up to Jake yet?
He's warmed up to Jake a bit. He will never be the same around Jake as he is around me, but it's a little bit of improvement.
Okay. After years, it's just a warming. Like, he's okay.
Yeah. I mean, he's very sweet. He's very dumb, but it's very convenient in a lot of ways that he's as dumb as he is. Because, for instance, he has not figured out that he could wake me up early in the morning and meow or harass me for food, which most cats do. But he'll just come up to me in the morning and, like, snuggle against me and purr. I'm like, oh, this is nice.
Maybe he just wants to be next to you instead of trying to wake you up or... Like, because I've seen cats just scratch somebody awake like, hey, I'm hungry, let's go.
He came up one morning, I was sleeping, and Jake saw him come up and like sniff at me, saw that I was asleep, and then he went away of like, oh, she's not awake yet, so I can't be fed yet.
So he's polite. I don't see what's wrong with a polite
cat. Yeah, it's great. It's great. I'm not complaining.
He's a good person. But yeah, so
right,
no.
So
pretty much, how did you start getting into directing, writing, producing? Like, what was your start? What kind of inspired you to even get into Hollywood?
I've always been really obsessed with movies. So even when I was a really little kid in elementary school, I knew that I wanted to do something with entertainment and movies. For a while when I was little, I thought that I wanted to be an actress, which I think is pretty natural. Like as a kid, you think like, oh, I love movies. The main people that you know are the actors who are in movies. So I did a lot of theater and like some various like acting programs when I was younger. And in one of the acting programs, they gave us an assignment where we had to direct a scene. And the scene that I directed was terrible, like really, really bad.
What was the scene? Like, what was it?
Well, it was for a Shakespeare program. And we had to pick a sonnet, and then we had to write a scene where that sonnet would somehow be incorporated into the scene. And they partnered you up with different people in the program. And I had on my team this girl who was like notoriously the most difficult person to work with in the whole program.
Okay.
She would threaten to beat people up. Like she was constantly creating drama.
And what age is this again? Like, how old are you?
I was about like 13.
So it's a 13-year-old Debo that's just going around beating people up. Okay.
Yeah. And she had a lot of very strong creative opinions about the scene. And one of them was that she really wanted that. Do you remember that Casey and JoJo song?
All My Life? Are we going with?
Yeah.
Okay.
She really wanted that song to play in the scene as like a serious love song. And she had been so difficult that when I got to that, I was like, okay, whatever. We can play the Casey and JoJo song if it means that much to you.
So you actually let her play the song?
I let her play the song, and then there was like, this strong dramatic reading of a Shakespearean sonnet. It was horrible. I wish I had a video of it because it must have been hilarious. But the teacher of the class came up to me afterward and told me that I should consider looking into directing because he thought that I really had a knack for it. And I was like, are you serious? Like, my scene was terrible. Like, did you see that? And he was like, well, but I saw how you worked with your team, and I really thought that you were really great about eliciting performances from people and, managing the politics of it, et cetera, et cetera. So that kind of put it in my head. And then I ended up working a bit with the theater director at my high school. And then I was actually the first student at my high school to direct a full-length play my senior year before I graduated.
Really? So you were have they kept up with that since?
I don't know. Usually they would give students the opportunity to direct one act, but I got to direct a full play. So that was pretty cool.
Okay, so pretty much so it's a teacher that kind of cultivated that in you to say, hey, maybe you should start directing or at least thinking about it.
Yeah, and once this teacher put the idea in my head, I was like, oh, actually, even as an actor, I'm like looking around at the blocking and considering the larger picture. I can't speak. That might be a difficulty for this.
And the end of your acting career, but okay.
Yeah, good that I'm behind the camera. But yeah, so once I was in high school, then I knew that I wanted to go into directing. And when I went to college, I was specifically looking at programs where I'd be able to study film and directing in undergrad.
Okay, so so this girl pretty much made you add in this song, but the Lauren I've seen on set, like Ponytail Lily, would not allow this. So when did Ponytail Lily decide to come in where it's like, no, this is my set, move the fuck out of the way and listen to me now?
Well, you build up more confidence as you go, right?
Okay.
You haven't explained the Ponytail Lily yet.
Well, no, I was going to explain it. So pretty much, it was my first time seeing Lauren on, what was it, Cycle 3, I think?
Yeah, Cycle 3.
Okay, so we went to AFI Conservatory together, and the way the program is that you have to do what they call cycle films, where you break up into teams depending on your discipline, and everyone comes together. You make a film, what was it, like every couple of months? Like it just, like every 2 months? Or what? Yeah,
every few months. We did 3 in the first year.
Right. So every few months you did a cycle film, and I went to work on her Cycle 3 because you had to come work on the film as well as like a PA or a grip or whatever you could do. As writers, all we could do is be PAs because we had no other
You
skill.
held the boom, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I was a boom guy. I was always on the boom because, it's a big black guy. They're like, you can hold this boom. Go ahead and get that boom. Get that boom working.
It takes some strength to hold up that boom all day.
Oh, yeah, it's craziness. Like, especially, it's a lot of... I felt like every scene that I had to do the boom, it was always the tightest shot or, like, the widest shot possible. So you had to hold the boom very steady or it would just drop into everything. That was always my life. But pretty much on Lauren's set, like, I've never seen her work a set. And usually her hair is down, it's flowing, she's calm. On this set... She snatched back this ponytail and was not fucking, like, not one smile, not one joke. It was get in your fucking position and shoot it. Let's go. I think it was you and Soren, right? Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it was Soren.
You guys would just go off into the corner and talk, and then you would come back like, okay, we're shooting now. And it's like, what the fuck is? It was scary. It was scary, but it was also great to see.
I think that since then I have learned how to be a little bit more relaxed and have a bit more of a sense of humor on set. But that does make me think of with a movie that I produced before AFI. One of the people working on the production told me that they were like, Lauren, some of the crew members are intimidated to come up and ask you questions because it always looks like you're busy. It looks like you're really focused on something. And I was like, good. I am busy. I am focused on something. So if they don't really need to interrupt me with their question and they can figure it out some other way, I'm glad that they're not interrupting me with their question.
I mean, that's kind of bullshit. Whoever told you that, like, that's kind of like what?
Yeah. I was like, yeah, I'm busy. We're making a small indie feature. I'm doing the job of 7 different people. So
yeah, you obviously didn't want anything if you didn't think you could stop someone from doing something and just say, hey, I need whatever. Like, it's not that important.
exactly.
Yeah, that's a little wild. But no, so why did you feel like that you had to tone it down? Because you said now you're a little more jovial on set than you were, well, at least for Cycle 3 anyway.
Well, I think that you also, as a director, you really set the tone for the set. And you do want people to also feel happy and comfortable and, all of that. Did you hear a bing on the recording? Hopefully not. I got a text message.
Probably, I don't know. It hears everything, but then I can always just edit it out, so it doesn't matter. Also, sometimes I just leave shit in. Like, who cares?
Okay. But yeah, I still take it very seriously. The ponytail is still definitely in. I've just dialed it back, one notch on the knob.
Okay. Honestly, of course you gave a good reason why you should, but I didn't think so. Like, I thought your set ran very efficiently. Like, it was a good short. Like, I don't see a problem with it. Like, if people don't feel that you're approachable, that's on them. Like,
yeah, I have no problem with that. I'm
Right.
happy if people are intimidated to come up and ask me some stupid question. That's fine.
But also with that, like you said, that the director kind of sets the tone for the the set. I think that's good. That's a good thing to kind of have a workman-like attitude to things. I mean, people are still going to be themselves and have fun, but you don't need someone joking all the time. Like, you don't need
Yes.
a me on set all the time. Like, no, like.
Well, and you always have a lot of work to get done in the day, so there needs to
Exactly.
be a certain amount of precision and focus.
Yeah, they'll definitely get it together. So, like, when you said you were picking colleges, you were definitely looking for programs that had some type of film and filmmaking. So, where did you end up going to school, and what was that experience like?
Well, so it's interesting that since I was looking at schools, I feel like at the time there weren't that many schools that offered a film major. Since then, there have been a lot more schools that have introduced film programs. But I was debating between going to a more specialized film program for undergrad, like NYU or USC, or going to more of a broader liberal arts education. And I ended up deciding to go for a broader liberal arts education because I still wanted to have the opportunity to take philosophy classes and literature classes in a way that more specialized programs wouldn't have allowed me to do.
Got you. So how did you come about choosing AFI then once you wanted to do grad school, or you just wanted that specialization for graduate school?
Yeah, so after I finished undergrad, I was working as a producer's assistant and I was working as a director's assistant. And I got to work for Jonathan Demme, which was pretty cool.
Okay.
And I was working for a while assisting and producing, but I felt like I needed to make a transition into working as a director. And I felt like one of the potentially best ways for me to do that would be to do a specialized program like AFI, where I could meet a lot of people who were at a similar phase in their careers that I was at. I would have the opportunity to do a lot of work, to work on my craft, to build up my reel. And then it would also be a way of transitioning away from the work that I had been doing into trying to specifically work on directing.
Gotcha. And was like being a producer's assistant and director's assistant, like what's the differences in those two titles?
When I was working as a producer's assistant, I was largely in the office, managing their schedules and calls and helping them, keep up on everything that they needed to do in terms of budgets and contracts and that kind of thing. So that was really helpful because I definitely learned a lot of the who's who in the industry because I needed to know who everybody calling was. When I was first on the job, I remember one of my first mistakes was that my boss had one contact who was a friend of his, who was some sort of film producer, and his first name was Lawrence. And then at the same time that this friend of his, Lawrence, called, we also got a call from Lawrence Bender's office. Lawrence Bender is a much bigger deal,
right, than his friend Lawrence.
As Pulp Fiction, than this other guy who I don't even really remember who this guy was. And I remember having the moment of like, which call do I put through? And I took a message from Lawrence Bender's office, and my boss like really railed into me that he was like, no. I was like, oh, okay, I need to really focus on knowing who exactly all of these. So it was good. It made me learn a lot about especially because I was in New York at the time. So I learned a lot about the who's who of everybody who works in indie film in New York. But then when I left that job, the producer that I was working for asked me what I was looking for in my next job. And I said that I specifically wanted to work for a director because I want to work as a director. And he was like, well, who are some of your favorite directors? Who would you want to work for? And the first person that I mentioned was Jonathan Demme. And he was like, oh, I know him. Let me send him an email. And wow. Demme emailed him back. And I think this was like, I remember I went and interviewed with Demme on a Thursday. And then Monday, I was at his office working for him. It was like a really fast transition.
What is this life, Lauren?
just happens. Believe me, it's not all charmed.
And so, like, because you said you were in New York working kind of the indie film market, and since AFI is out in Los Angeles, so that's more big studios. I mean, it's also some indie stuff as well, but are there different vibes between working in New York and then coming out to LA?
Totally. And part of why I specifically wanted to go to AFI was because I thought that work-wise it made sense for me to transition from the New York film scene to the LA film scene. New York has a lot of great work happening, but it is obviously a much more limited market than right. LA is. And I figured that if I was going to make the transition, going through grad school and meeting a ton of people would be a good way to do that. So I had debated between USC and AFI. Not to brag, I got into both.
Okay.
And I specifically decided that I wanted to go to AFI because I liked the specialization of the program. I liked that I wasn't going to have to apply to direct projects like I would have had to at USC.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. That would be a lot different.
Yeah. And AFI is also shorter than USC's program as well.
Oh, how long is the USC program?
I think I could be wrong. I think it's a 4-year program.
For grad school? Goodness. 3
or 4, I think. Yeah, it's definitely longer than 2, which is AFI.
Gotcha. Okay. And so, coming out of AFI, you directed the film Paying For It, which was your short film, so your thesis. What was that experience like? And then what has come from that since you, after directing that film?
Working on Paying For It was a really great experience. I was super happy with the whole team of everybody that I got to work with. My producer and cinematographer, production designer, editor, all of that was really amazing. And the 2 actresses that I ended up casting in the 2 lead roles, I am still really close friends with them. We meet up on a pretty regular basis for breakfast, and they both have kids now, and I've met their kids, and I went to one of their weddings and everything. Okay. So that's really nice that now we're really close friends all these years later, and they're transitioning on into different phases of their careers. But yeah, I was really happy with having that opportunity through AFI to use all the resources that we got for that film was incredible. I mean, it was definitely a much more involved and professional production than you're usually able to do for a short film that you're putting together on your own. And we submitted to a bunch of festivals. We went to the Austin Film Festival, which was great. definitely have gotten a good response from everybody that I've been able to show it to as a sample of my work, which is basically what you're looking for with a short like that.
Gotcha. And when you go to these festivals, like what is that like? Are there people interested in you as a director, so they're trying to give you new things to work on, or is it more like people are just giving you kudos for having such a great short film?
Well, it kind of depends on the festival.
Okay.
I feel like with most festivals, you're just going to be getting kudos from people and getting responses from the audience or takes on the film, which is great. And then if you're able to take a film to a more major film festival, then maybe you'd actually have people approaching you for directing work. But I think that's much more the rarity, especially with a short. But sometimes it does happen.
Gotcha. Okay. And so since then, like I've read like some of your work since then, have you been really into pole dancing? Like that's been one of your main well, is it even just a hobby anymore? Like, can I?
Well, it's funny. It's something that I would have never guessed that I would have gotten into. If you went back and told me a decade ago that I would have gotten really into pole dancing, I would have been like, what are you talking about? But it was my thesis film at AFI that there's a striptease, but people listening probably
Right.
don't, that there's a striptease sequence in the film. And as I was prepping for the shoot, I had a moment of thinking, oh, well, what if the actress playing that part asks me like what specifically to do choreography wise in the scene? I don't really know what moves she should do or any of that. So I bought a Groupon to an intro to pole dancing class, honestly just thinking that maybe this would give me a few ideas of moves that she could do in this one sequence. And when I went to this intro to pole dancing class, the class itself was like really feminist and empowering. And I remember driving home from that class just feeling like a total rock star and like blasting music in my car. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but I feel awesome right now. So I went back with the actress who played that part and we did a private class to help like choreograph a bit of that sequence, which I'm so glad that I did. That was tremendously helpful. And then after I shot Pain for it, I went back to that studio and I started taking classes just because I was intrigued of like, oh, what's this about? And then once I got more involved in learning more about the pole dancing world, I remember actually telling one of our professors from AFI that I had now gotten into pole dancing. And he was like, Lauren, you have to make a movie. Like, I know. I have to make a movie about this whole fascinating, incredible, complex world. So that's what I'm working on doing now.
Gotcha. And so, like, can you give us anything about the movie, or you just kind of want to keep that under wraps?
I can tell you a bit about it. So the movie's a dramedy, and it's a comeback story set in the world of competitive pole dancing. But it's also largely about the complexities of the pole dancing world, that there's these different camps. Like there's competitive pole dancing, which is like acrobatics, like Cirque du Soleil kind of crazy tricks. And then there's also the like pole fitness world, which I think more and more people know about these days, of like classes at gyms and soccer moms taking pole classes just for fun, that kind of thing. And then also within the script, I felt like we needed to have a character who works in a strip club to show like, this is where pole dancing comes from. This is what most people, when they hear pole dancing, they still think of somebody stripping in a club. So showing those different worlds and what the differences between those worlds mean.
Okay, gotcha. And like, what has it been to, like, what did you need to develop that story? Or did it mostly come from your experiences pole dancing, or did you have to follow some people that are in your classes? Like, what was the impetus for all of that?
I think that the main challenge with developing the story was that I feel like there's 100 different movies that you could set in the pole dancing world that would be interesting stories. I feel like there's so many different women that I've met who have great stories that would be worth telling. So it took me a while to figure out like, okay, well, there's all of these different, at the beginning, I was thinking of writing it as an ensemble piece with like having, maybe 5 or 6 characters that you told their different stories throughout the films, or not films, through the film. But so I think the most challenging part was just narrowing in on, okay, this is the one story that I'm going to tell.
Gotcha. Okay. And what has been like the feedback so far as you've been working on? I'm sure you're showing like family and friends the script and everything. So what has been the feedback on everything so far?
The feedback's been good. We have a casting director that we're working with now, and trying to see who we can attach to play the lead role. And our casting director said that as she's made calls and talked to agents and everything about it, that it's been an incredibly easy pitch, that people have been really receptive to it and they've been enjoying the script and everything. So that's great. But, we're still at the beginning stages of actually getting the movie made and getting people attached and all that. But hey, I'll take it that, getting a good reception out of the gate is certainly helpful.
Yeah, that's always great. Like, who would be your number one pick if you had to? Can you even do that? I don't know. I don't want to you get somebody and then they're like, I wasn't your favorite.
Considering that I'm in the process of casting right now, I don't know if I should answer that question.
I guess better question. Like, if you had a character in mind, like when you were making when you were writing everything, is there like a certain character, a well-known character in mind that you might have used as inspiration or anything, or you just kind of went off your own experiences with it?
It's interesting. A few people have asked me that, of like, oh, well, if you could cast anyone, some huge A-list actor, who would you cast? And I think I specifically with the script was trying not to picture a specific actress in it. So I think that's actually been helpful in terms of casting, that I'm not super married to like, oh, it needs to be a, Natalie Portman type. That to me, I just picture who this character is, and I haven't yet narrowed in on, oh, it's like so-and-so or so-and-so. There's definitely aspects that I'll admit, there's definitely aspects of me in the character. Okay. So I found it kind of funny when I showed my lookbook to somebody. I had a page where I had a few different images of actresses that I would have in mind for that lead role. Because sometimes people find that helpful as they're reading a script to have a visual reference of, oh, okay, you're thinking of somebody like this to play that part. And I found it kind of funny that when I showed my lookbook to somebody who's also a pretty established actress, she looked at the actresses that I had on that page and she was like, funny, they all kind of look like you. Do they? I don't think that they do. I was like, but maybe there's something there. So like it pulled me out a little bit.
I imagine it's just all photos of you. You didn't even notice. You're like, what? That's me.
Well, I was looking to have somebody in that role who is not someone that you would necessarily picture as a pole dancer, that comes from a like waspy, well-educated background type of thing.
And was that ever a thought of yours to do the Spike Lee route of like, let me just cast myself and get this going?
Oh, no. Okay. No. Narene's husband, Joe, joked at one point pretty early on that he was like, that you're going to end up playing the lead role. And I was like, oh, God, no. I don't have any business playing the lead. We need to get a real actress in here.
I mean, look, you might be able to do double duty. You did start out wanting to be an actress. You moved into directing. Maybe this is like coming full circle, right back around.
I think unless you're Laurence Olivier or Orson Welles, I don't know. I would advise most people not to act in and direct, especially their first film. But I think I was just talking to somebody the other night about a pretty big movie star that she just directed her first film, and somebody who's seen the movie was telling me that they were like, Oh, apparently she needs to have good direction because she's terrible in her own movie. So I think it's tough to act and direct something at the same time. No thanks.
I'm trying to think who you could be talking about, but I can't think of who it might be. It's probably...
Well, people can speculate. They can take their guesses.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's probably one of my boos, too. It's probably somebody I really like, but I wouldn't see their directing. I wouldn't think.
I'll tell you later.
Look, I mean, I don't mind saying that. I have somebody in mind, but I don't know if her movie has come out already, but maybe they just saw it early. But whatever.
I will say it's not a movie that's come out. It's just been on the festival circuit.
Gotcha.
And it actually is an actress who I had in my lookbook as if I could cast anyone, I would want to cast this actress.
You do favor each other, so I guess I do. You did just put photos of yourself in this lookbook, didn't you? You just put...
I did not.
Multiple photos of yourself. But yeah, so we're at about 30 minutes now, so I think we can go ahead and wrap this up. But thank you for coming on to the show.
Sure. Is there anything else that you wanted me to say?
No, I mean, you made it seem like you were at gunpoint. Like, is there anything else that I need to say right now?
No, I'm just, want to make sure that you're getting what you need.
Oh, no, I'm good. But you can give everybody...
As a director, you want to make sure that, you're getting all of the necessary pieces.
That is very true. But you can give everyone, if you want to give your social media or if you want to give any link to paying for it or how people can see that, you can give that out now.
Yeah, you can check out Paying for It on iTunes. Just type it into iTunes and it'll pop on up. And I am on Twitter. What's my... Wait, you might have to re-edit this. What is my Twitter? I think I'm Lauren A. Lilly, but I should double check that I'm actually telling people the right thing.
So you're not even on Twitter that much, then, is what you're saying?
What I'm saying is I'm not on Twitter that much, but I am at Lauren A. Lilly on Twitter. And because I'm not on it very much, if you want to reach out and connect with me, it'll be great. I will respond.
Well, we don't know now because you're never on it. So will they respond? But anyway, guys, we'll be right back. And thanks again, Lauren.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Tom Fondle.
This week, we're reviewing The Foreigner, directed by Martin Campbell, written by David Marconi, and based on the novel The Chinaman by Stephen Leather. Cinematography by David Tattersall. Film edited by Angela Catanzaro. Production design by Alex Cameron. Art direction by Nick Dent. And set decoration by Malcolm Stone. This is your spoiler review. Is this really a movie where it's spoilers? Like, come on, whatever. This is your spoiler review. So, I mean, this is your spoiler alert. So, if you haven't seen the movie yet, stop here and then come back. And you can hear the review and you'll realize that it wasn't any spoilers. And then also you can always email us at blackguywhitemovie@gmail.com if you want to just talk some bullshit, because usually that's what it is. It's just back and forth and we're just bullshitting. Whatever though. But now let's get into the review. So let me just tell you how much of a beast Jackie Chan is. I just don't think he gets as much love as he should. I understand everyone loves the Rush Hour movies. At the same time, he's just done so much. Like, he has so many dope ass fucking films. And he's doing all his stunts. I think he's still doing... Is he still doing all his stunts? Because if he is at 63 years old, still jumping out of buildings and shit, like, this motherfucker is amazing. And I just don't know why he isn't a bigger star in the US. I'm just... Like, he is dope as fuck. And a movie like this, when it opens, you would think somebody like Jackie Chan, that's a worldwide star, he should be able to open this movie #1, no questions asked. It looks like this movie is going to be third this week behind Blumhouse's Happy Death Day. Shout out to Blumhouse, because they're doing their thing. Everything horror should come through them. Probably them and Universal is how that works, right? Yeah. So Blumhouse's Happy Death Day is doing its thing. It's going to be #1. The Blade Runner 2049 is going to be #2. And then this movie, The Foreigner, is going to be #3. But I'm just not getting why. Like, well, after seeing the movie, I kind of get it. And also the marketing is fucking misleading as fuck. We should probably get into that first. So the movie is The Foreigner. Right now, let's see here. So what is it doing so far? So again, it's going to be number 3 this week. It has a 7.4 on IMDb. It has a 54 on Metacritic, that's out of 100. And then also on Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 57%. So that means critics kind of see it lukewarm. The audience is a little more favorable to it. I can't talk suddenly. But overall, nobody's like really, really fucking with this movie. And it's definitely a reason why. So coming into this movie, if you see all the marketing for it, if you see everything about it, you would think it's a Jackie Chan-led film. It was going to be pretty much a revenge movie. It was going to be, you would think of it as Taken if his daughter actually died, right? Like if Liam Neeson's character's daughter died and he just went on a revenge killing spree, that would be the movie. That's how they pushed this. You thought he was going to have his, good luck type conversation, even though Jackie Chan, they didn't lean on him too much for dialogue. So that was, I don't know if that's because he's foreign or another reason, probably because James Bond #5, Pierce Brosnan, just took over the whole goddamn movie. I'm not quite sure which one it was, but either Bond 5 just had too many lines or they just don't trust Jackie Chan enough, which I don't know why, because he can do everything. He can do physical comedy, he can do comedy, he can do drama. Like, Jackie Chan is a jack of all trades. I just don't get... Yeah, I'm just not getting why he's not getting the love that he definitely deserves, or the respect, because this film, to me, shows he's not getting the respect he deserves. But we'll also get into that a little bit later. Either way, the movie is marketed as a revenge flick, right? And to get into how the movie is, when you get there, you're thinking, all right, so the movie starts out straight up. It's with Jackie Chan. So, well, with his daughter first. So you see his daughter come out of school. She's with a young man. And Jackie Chan's picking her up. And she wants this dress for a big dance that's coming up. So you have this cute moment where Jackie Chan's asks his daughter, when am I going to meet the boy? She's like, oh, you'll meet it when he picks me up for the dance. It's a cute little back and forth. And so he's taking his daughter to this department store because it's only 2 of these dresses left that she really wants, right? First off, I got to say, even in this scene, I was already about to say, let me say this. I did appreciate how the movie just starts right away. And it's not any of... That actually might have been a problem with it, though. Because I was going to say I was happy that it kind of started right away with the inciting incident. Like, immediately, his daughter is dead. Boom, he's on it, right? At the same time, I understand that that's his daughter, so you're supposed to know that he has a deep bond with his child. Yet I never got to see moments of their real relationship. I'm probably gonna shout out Taken a lot because this just feels like Taken to me. In Taken, Liam Neeson, he played this guy named Brian Mills. You got to see him with his daughter no less than, I want to say 3 or 4 times before she was actually gone and taken, just so they can kind of build that he's a dad that's in her life, but not really in her life. And he should be around more, but he's never really there. He always makes sure he's there for birthdays. They don't have the strongest relationship, but he is doing his best to be a good dad. Everybody can see it. Even his ex-wife can see it. In this, though, you just kind of see Jackie Chan pick her up. You understand that she has an affinity for her dad as her father. She has a respect for him. He seems like a more relaxed dad as he allowed her to say, you'll meet him when he picks me up for homecoming. At the same time, I don't know, what was her life as, because pretty much he's a single father raising this child, which later you find out that his wife died as they immigrated over to the UK. And he had 2 other daughters as well who were killed by pirates as they illegally immigrated over. So it's like this super sad story. His wife died in labor, giving birth to this daughter. So his story is super sad. But in these initial moments, you don't really feel any of that. Like, you don't feel like she's our only child, or I don't get moments of, teenage pushback, or I don't really get anything. I don't know the relationship, but the basic principle of, like, this is father and daughter. She needs a dress for the dance, and that's it. And I think a couple of more moments would have helped. Like, if we had got that information up front of how she's an only child and why the mother was gone, or just little things here and there kind of help give a moviegoer a better idea of the character before you put them into the shit. I'll even use Die Hard, for example. John McClane is scared of flying, so you get he's scared of heights. You understand that he's coming in. His wife is using her maiden name, so you know they're having problems. It's like these little things before he even has a scene with his wife, kind of layer everything for the audience, so we have an expectation of what's his wife going to be like, what's their first meeting going to be like. These things are important, even when this character has to die, which we understand, but I just think they needed more of those moments. Either way, also another problem with that, which I thought was fucking ridiculous. What girl is going to get a dress? There's only 2 of them left, so that means possibly other girls are going to wear it to this homecoming or dance. No woman is doing that. I don't know what male wrote this or I don't know. This isn't the thing. Like, nobody is trying to get the last 2 dresses of anything. They want that exclusive shit now. David Marconi, my friend, no. Like, even if that's in the book, fuck that. Like, let's not even play that game. So, of course, at the apartment store is blown up. And you later find out it's because of a group that's calling themselves the Authentic IRA. So to give a little background on that, like, the IRA was this group in Ireland. They had this, it's not a Cold War because that shit was real, but it was a huge beef with the UK and England for a minute. Well, I guess they became the UK because of that. But in real life, they had this huge beef. I'm probably downgrading a little bit just calling it a beef, but it's a big thing, and the IRA has been gone for decades now. So a bombing in London from a group calling themselves the Authentic IRA would it would be terrible in real life. And so, like, in this instance, the bombing happened, 12 people died, scores of people were injured. And when I tell you, like, the bombing happens, and again, this is supposed to be Jackie Chan's top billing. It's a Jackie Chan film. We're supposed to have him go on this revenge mission. The bombing happens. You see Jackie Chan get pushed. You see his daughter go in. You see Jackie Chan get kind of like thrown over his car by the blast. He survives, of course. And you see him walk into the department store looking for his daughter. And then they cut. They cut to a newsroom with a young reporter that gets the first phone call from the quote-unquote Authentic IRA that gives a code word. I think it was Phoenix. It says code word Phoenix just to prove they are the IRA. We did the bombing. This is what's going on. And this journalist runs into the editor's office, says, I just got a call. It's been a bombing. The editor tries to gives the orders. Hey, you do this, you do that. Make sure we figure out who the Authentic IRA are. And then sends this guy down to get photos, the journalist down to get photos and see what's going on at the scene. He gets there, and then you see Jamie Foxx. But then you see Jackie Chan there in pain, holding his dead daughter in his hands. And in this moment, I knew in this moment that I wasn't going to like this movie. And it wasn't because of this scene in particular, but it was that if we're going to have a movie where Jackie Chan's the star billing, where you market it as this revenge, I'm going to go kill the people that killed my daughter movie, why the fuck are we leaving Jackie Chan when he's finding his daughter, when he first finds her dead, when he crawls into the department store? Why aren't we having those moments? Why the fuck do you cut away from him to go to a journalist who, quite frankly, means nothing to this movie after this? Like, absolutely nothing. We see him 2 more times, maybe, for for some bullshit reasons. And it's like, why would you leave Jackie Chan in a moment that would just, like, I don't think the filmmaker got how painful that would be of him crawling through rubble and pushing shit out the way. It's a very corny thing to use, but that actually helps the audience really hurt that his daughter has died. Like right now, we spent 4 minutes with a character that died, that we're supposed to have some sorrow for because that's our main character's daughter. But we never connected with her. We don't give a fuck about her. We don't care that this girl just died because she just seems like, a red shirt, which is that's a Star Trek thing. Like all the red shirts on Star Trek always died anytime they went anywhere with fucking Captain Kirk. The red shirts were going down. But I'm thinking it's a red shirt thing. And I'm not getting why. Like, why would you treat his daughter this way or even Jackie Chan's character this way if he's going to be the lead? You're just leaving him to go to a character that doesn't matter. And I think the mindset of it was like, oh, let's give this global scope of what's going on. Well, not even global, but let's give this nationwide scope of what's happening. And the IRA could be back. And let's give an idea of what's going to happen and how he's a little piece to a huger puzzle. But no, we need, even in huge stories, big blockbusters, we always need something intimate to hang on to. It doesn't matter what it is. I feel like that's why Marvel has done a little bit better with the superhero films than DC, because they understand not only that sometimes they just have better auteurs like running everything, but it's also that they give us this intimate story and a huge dynamic all the time. Like, yes, I get it's a blockbuster, but how does it feel when you walk into Civil War and Tony Stark lost his parents to a car crash and somebody killed them? You understand that more than Ant-Man's going to become Giant Man and fighting and all that shit. That shit's fun. It's a big fight scene at an airport. That's great. But if I don't have a moment of, I'm Captain America, I lost my best friend, now he's back, and I need to protect them at all costs. We've been in moments where we want to protect our best friends. We might not have a best friend that died and then came back and wanted to kill us, but we understand wanting to protect your best friend with your life. We get that. This movie doesn't seem to understand these things at all. Like, all the relationships and ties in this movie are just so trivial that you really don't care about much. It's just, I understand this movie is just was supposed to be a popcorn flick and you were just supposed to watch Jackie Chan go out and do his thing. But at the same time, as I said with Taken, I got every angle of what every character and every point of view of what was going on. And even though that movie wasn't perfect, it did give me an idea of why he was doing this, why this guy was so efficient at his job, all his relationships. Like, I even knew his relationships with his friends better than I knew what was going on in Jackie Chan and his daughter's life. Like, I don't know their home life. I just don't know any of this shit. Anyway, we get into, they finally show so the only black guy in the movie is going to be this guy named Bromley. And he's like the lead Scotland Yard officer on the case. And Jackie Chan's whole thing is that he wants to try to bribe the only black to see if he can get the names of the bombers or the names of the people that he thinks might have done it. And the only black guy is just kind of like, listen, you can't keep showing up because you're using our resources because we have to keep having somebody come out. You're waiting here for hours and hours. You're bribing us. Like, we can't accept this shit. You can't keep doing this. I'm sorry. We're going to figure out who did this, but you have to fucking go. Jackie Chan understands. And his next clue is that so Bond number 5 is, what is Bond number 5? Oh, he's the deputy minister, the Irish deputy minister, okay? And he's pretty much the guy that's supposed to be the straight line from Ireland to the UK to England. And for him to play both sides, kind of like, hey, if something's going on in Ireland, he's supposed to take care of it and be the spokesperson for them in England. 80% of this movie was about him. We got, like, the first time you meet him, he's with his mistress, who ends up being one of the terrorists, but you don't know that at the time, and neither does he. But he's with his mistress. His wife calls. You can tell he's not really that good of a husband because one, he's with his mistress, and then he doesn't even give a fuck that his wife is like, "Yo, you didn't come home last night. What's going on?" And he's like, "And what, bitch? What do you got to say?" It's a very fucked up moment. But either way, like you can I got a better idea of who he was more than Jackie Chan right away. So he gets called in. It's been a bombing, and he decides to bring all the the former heads of the IRA all together to find out who did it. Because since they gave this code word Phoenix, since they're calling themselves the authentic IRA, he knows that somebody in that room is responsible for this. And especially with the code word, because that means one of them has given up this code word and only the people in the room are supposed to know this. So he's circling the wagons. He tells everybody, like, look, we're going to check everything. We're going to see who is missing. What was it? Fuck, I'm forgetting what they were looking for exactly. It was like, no, it wasn't plutonium. Maybe C4, whatever it was. Like, he was just saying, hey, we're searching everybody. If anything is missing, we're coming after you because you're not supposed to be doing this shit. You're fucking with the peace, right? Cool. More than that, Jackie Chan on TV sees Bond number 5 on television talking about, hey, we're trying to find these guys. We're doing the best that we can. You know, Bond number 5 behind the scenes is actually looking. He's trying to figure out what he can do about it. And so Jackie Chan, since he sees this guy on TV, decides, okay, now I'm going to go bother him and see if he knows the names of the guys that could have killed my daughter. Now, this is where the action starts in the movie, because Jackie Chan goes, Pierce Brosnan kind of tells him, Bond number 5 kind of tells him to fuck off, because when Jackie Chan called previously, Bond number 5 told him to fuck off. Jackie Chan shows up. This time he has a homemade bomb with him. He brings it in. They just think it's just some regular groceries, so they don't fuck with him about it. When Bond number 5 says, get the fuck out again, Jackie Chan goes into the bathroom, sets up the bomb, and sets it off. And so the bomb explodes. Nobody's hurt. And it's like, why would nobody be hurt in this? Jackie Chan is supposed to be a guy that has one mission: to find out the names of the people that has killed his daughter. And for some reason, he is the nicest revenge person I've ever seen in my life. He doesn't really kill anybody, I want to say, until the actual bombers. But these people in the IRA, or that used to be or have connections to the IRA, including Bond number 5, they're in your way. Why aren't you killing them? He never kills any of the henchmen. He sets off all these explosions, like when Bond number 5 finally starts to go into hiding because they're scared of Jackie Chan. He's setting off explosions. He's hurting people. He's doing all this shit. He doesn't kill not one of them. It's the craziest shit. It's like Jackie Chan is the nicest, he's just the nicest special forces person that's supposed to be distraught over his daughter that I've ever, it's just, I don't get it. Like, the nigga in Taken was just killing motherfuckers that had nothing to do with the situation. Like, my man, I wasn't even here at the time, and you killing me? Like, what did I do to hurt you? Anyway, so Jackie Chan blows up the building. Bond number 5 is pissed off. He sends all his goons out to find him. They find him pretty quickly, which I did enjoy this about the film. It wasn't one of those things where Jackie Chan was just impossible to find, or he had so much training that nobody knew where he was or what was going on. Literally, it was like, look for this motherfucker, search every hotel and, bed and breakfast type place around. They found him within 2 scenes. They had a little fight scene. He did get away, but it's like, yeah, find this motherfucker. Let's get this going. He had this, Pierce Brosnan, or Bond number 5, had this whole thing with his wife because she's upset that he's out here in these streets doing his thing. Pierce Brosnan also had a nephew that was in the Royal Guard. What is he in? What's the nephew in? Hold on one second, because he had this nephew. He's in like their version of the army. I don't know. I can't find it right now. But he's special forces as well. So the nephew comes, and it's another situation where you understand that he has this great affinity for his nephew. but you don't know why. You don't know if he raised this nigga. It's just like, oh, that's the nephew, so you're just supposed to understand that they have a connection. Nothing else is said. And you find out that the nephew is actually fucking his wife, which is, it's like, okay. The nephew's fucking the wife. Jackie Chan's still coming after him, so it's all this shit going on where Jackie Chan's coming after him. All he wants is the names of the guys that could be responsible for it. And finally, Bond number 5 is like, fuck it, look, all these people I've been sending after him, they haven't been doing it. So he tasked the nephew to first talk to the only black in the movie and say, hey, so what we're going to do is we're going to change all the code names. So when there's another bombing, if they say the code name, we'll give everybody a different one. So if they say a code name, we'll know exactly who the head of it is. And then we'll be able to track down the bombers quicker. The only black guy says, cool, we'll figure it out. The nephew goes back. He fucks the wife. And then Pierce Brosnan is finally like, yo, can you just come and find this Asian guy? Because, well, they kept calling him a Chinaman. I don't know if that's shout out to the book or just in England they just call people of Chinese descent Chinamen. But either way, it's just like, let's go get this Chinaman. So he sends the nephew to do it because he's also special forces. And then so when the next bombing happens, no code name is used. Everybody's confused. Nobody knows what's going on. And at this point in the movie, I just really stopped giving a fuck because it's not a Jackie Chan movie at this point. This is literally a movie about Bond number 5 trying to figure out how he can keep his hold on things, being the Irish deputy minister. It's a twist to it. Should I give it? Yeah, fuck it. Fuck this movie. So the twist of it is that actually Bond number 5 and one of his boys were the ones setting up the bombings, but just that the cell that they, like the kids, the team that they had set up everything just decided to do whatever the fuck they wanted. So they made the bombs more powerful and they were out here just doing their thing. And Bond's number 5 whole plan was that, oh, we're going to blow up financial institutions but not kill any people, but I guess he just wanted for some reason for them to, like, Ireland to rise again. I'm not sure. Like, none of this shit. It was so much emphasis on the IRA and Bond number 5 trying to keep power. Jackie Chan just was kind of there for action scenes. You know, if we got a little bored with the talking, it's like, hey, let's go back to Jackie Chan. Let's pop off this action scene and see what's going on. And what the fuck? Like, you can't give my man top billing and then treat him like he's just there for some bullshit. Like, Jackie Chan is he should be a national treasure. He's a goddamn gem. And I'm not getting why he's just being, like, none of this movie concerned him. None of this movie was really about him. It didn't focus on him. Nothing really played well to Jackie Chan. And I just I'm trying to understand why you wouldn't just follow him throughout the movie. Even if it is this IRA plot, why wasn't it Jackie Chan the one to find things out? And see, that's the thing about protagonists usually, like the good ones anyway, the good leads, the good heroes, they're always the ones to figure shit out. Like Jackie Chan has this special forces training, but the only information he really gains is from television, and he finds out that Bond number 5 is the guy he should be talking to. And then any other time, he's just randomly figures out where people live, but you don't know how he's doing this. So you never see him kind of gain information on, oh, let me be the one to figure out that Bond number 5 is out here. No, Bond number 5 just randomly has an argument with his second in command, and so that's how the audience finds out that he's one of the terrorists, technically. And even with that, like, later on, Jackie Chan takes a photo of him kissing his mistress, who ended up being one of the terrorists. So that's how everything comes out later, that he was one of the bad guys. It's like, just, I don't know who runs Jackie Chan, but can can they just get him better scripts? Just get him better things to do, especially when it comes to the U.S. audience, because this should have been primarily focused on him. I'm not shitting on Bond number 5, because he was doing his thing. I loved his accent in this movie. And the action scenes were straight. Like, this isn't a bad movie. It's just focusing on the wrong shit all the time. The shots are wrong. The interactions are wrong. Literally, the goddamn nephew went to look for Jackie Chan. He tracks him down. They have a fight. Jackie Chan wins. He ties up a kid that was literally coming out there to kill him. He just ties him up because he's the most affable good guy ever, even though he's supposed to be out on this killing spree to figure out who killed his daughter. He ties this kid up and they just have a nice conversation. You were just trying to kill him 20 seconds ago. In my mind, and it's crazy because at the time I thought this is kind of interesting for them to just be talking and Jackie Chan just lets him go. The kid doesn't try to fight Jackie Chan once he lets him go. He's just like, oh, okay, thanks for letting me go. This is over now. And then I thought about it more and it's like, no, motherfucker, he was just coming to kill you. He just like bent back your arm. He didn't really hurt you because you're Jackie Chan. But what the fuck? Like, you're supposed to know these things. You're supposed to know the seriousness of a moment as in this movie. I don't know. It's a good story here too. That's what makes it crazy. If it just focused on the right shit and dropped little details from Jackie Chan's perspective, I just think this would have been so much better as a film and more enjoyable, to be honest, because it jumped around so much with this IRA shit and the only black guy trying to figure shit out, and then Jackie Chan, and then the IRA and fucking Bond 5 is talking to the she wasn't the English prime minister, but let's say she was the English deputy chief, whatever she was, which was dope that it was a woman in power doing her thing and shitting on people, so shout out to her as well. But it's like, it's too much. It was too much going on. It should have been a very intimate story about Jackie Chan trying to get revenge. And you can add other layers to it, but at the time, it's like, it's just about Chan. Like, make sure Jackie Chan is doing his thing. Make sure that we have a good story and we understand how important his daughter is before she dies. We get that she's his daughter, but how fucking hurtful would it have been if we got the information his wife died giving birth to his daughter. His 2 daughters died when they were trying to immigrate to the country. Like, this is literally his last family left. And she just died. That would have been painful as fuck to watch. And yet, we had none of that information because like, the movie really just gave us no reason why we shouldn't have that information earlier on to really connect with that character. All right, so now we're going to get into rating the movie. So how we rate movies is that either the movie should be seen in theaters. You should wait for the movie to come out on Netflix for a nice Netflix and chill, which usually takes about 6 months. Like, Netflix isn't that long. You can wait for the movie to come on TNT, which takes like a year to 2 years. So that means you're not really interested in the movie, but it's just a lazy Saturday night. You're hanging out. Fuck it, I'll watch it. Or you should not go see the movie at all. So for The Foreigner, it's going to be a TNT movie, definitely. There was no angst about this, no thinking about it. This is a TNT movie. This is one of those movies where you're just hanging out, you're with some friends, they're like, hey, you want to watch this movie? You say, sure. You check that out. You have fun. It's cool. It's all right. It's straight. It's not anything special. Nothing special ever really happens. But it is cool to see Jackie Chan doing this thing. I wish they gave him more respect, because honestly, I could easily elevate this movie to see it in theaters with minimal changes and cuts and scenes and just more fucking with Jackie Chan and being an intimate story. Because again, it's a good movie there. It's just not shown on screen. And I wish it was, but yeah, what the fuck. So now let's get into the Netflix and chill movie of the week. So a movie you should check out on Netflix this week is a movie called Sleeping with Other People. My guy Jason Sudeikis stars in this. It also has Alison Brie. Pretty much it's just like these two fucking, well, pretty much they're hoes. And now they need each other to try to help reform from being hoes anymore. It's a pretty good comedy film. it's worth checking out. Like, I fuck with it. Like, Sleeping with Other People is a good little comedy film. One of these. It's a super white ass film though. I will say that. I think they throw one black in there just kind of for a couple of jokes, but that's about it. Like, I think it's a one black policy these days in films. I'm starting to notice, unless it's a film that's predominantly black. I think it's starting to be a one black policy. I think that's coming back. It used to be like a token thing, but now I just think the one black is coming back. It's back in season out here. But anyway, I think that's going to be all for this week. So as always, you guys can reach out to us on Instagram at Maxwell Towson, YouTube at Tom Fondle, Facebook at Black Guy White Movie. Also, we're going to get the website back up. So that's going to be www.blackguywhitemovie.com. As always, you can reach out to us also at blackguywhitemovie@gmail.com if you want to talk about anything. As always, RIP Alex, and we will see you guys next week.
Tom Fondle.